All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another one of our summer virtual series. I think tonight is going to be a pretty big one. Already, we have got, I think, about 50 people that are joining us tonight, so we want to make sure that we get to all of your questions, and we know that this is an important topic. My name is Tara Stevenson. I serve as the Vice President of Student Affairs here at Flagler College, and it has been fun to be able to bring you these series throughout the summer. Tonight's program, we are going to be doing that deep dive into what to expect on move-in day. We know that there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of emotions, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. And so to kind of ease some of that, we want to go through a little bit of that process and what our students and families can expect. As always, we are recording this. We do get a lot of questions from folks like about the past recordings, and so I have done another reach out to get some of our most recent recordings up there for you. But please know that I think this one is going to be viewed a couple times over. We may even share it with some of our team members here on campus so that they all know what to expect as well. But you can always continue to check those out on the Flagler College YouTube channel or our family portal. But what I would like to do is I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves, share a quick little tidbit about you and what you do here, and then we're going to really dive into it. So, Dr. Dre, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Dre. Also, Andrea Adams Manning is my legal name, but everyone does call me Dr. Dre here on campus. I am the Dean of Students on campus, so I oversee our student conduct process. The wonderful Department of Residence Life does report to me, hence why I'm joining on the call today, as well as our Student Center. I've been here at Flagler for a good old 3 years now, so, quite the veteran am I. So, and I'll pass it on to Rachel.
Hi, everyone. I am Rachel Clark. I am the Assistant Dean of Community Living and Standards, and I help also to oversee the Residence Life team and then a little bit of student conduct work as well. I have been here at the college as a staff member for a little over a year, but I'm also an alum of the institution, and so I spent a couple of years here as a student as well until I graduated. And I will pass it to Ann Lynn.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Anlin Harvey, and I am the Director of Residence Life. And I get the privilege of working with all of our wonderful RAs who are in the hall staff. They make the experience wonderful for all of our students living here on campus. And I am very excited to experience my very first move-in day along with all of you all in this position at Flagler.
So, as a reminder, we do always keep the Q&A up. So, if you have questions, we'll be sure to try to get them into the flow of our script for tonight or see if we can get some answers for you. If we can't get the answer for you, then we'll definitely try to direct you. But let's go ahead and just jump on in because I feel like we've got a pretty full agenda for the next little bit that we are together. So move-in day, Friday, August 22nd. We want to put that on our calendars if it's not already on there. I joke and say this to anybody and everybody that it is always the hottest day of the year, regardless of the year. And that is just because we are excited to welcome everybody, as is the Florida weather excited to welcome everybody. But students received information kind of breaking down the time slots for the days and a little bit about what to expect. But again, as I said earlier, we want to take the time tonight to really dive into it. And so it'll be from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have various time slots that students will be assigned based off of their residence hall and their floor in their residence hall. So this is good to know that you'll most likely be moving in at the same time as your roommate unless there was some sort of extenuating circumstance. We're going to begin bright and early, 8 a.m. with our Lewis, Cedar, Ponce West third floors. I'm gonna need to double check on that one. I need one of our team members because I don't think all of Lewis is moving in during that first session, according to my notes.
Just the third floors of all of those buildings.
Okay, got now I see why grammar is important and there are commas and hyphens. So let's go ahead and start from the top. 8 a.m. till about 9:15 a.m. Third floors, Lewis House, Cedar, and Ponce West, third floors. And then our FEC, Abear, and Sebastian halls, that'll be all floors during that first session in the morning. Our second session will begin at 9:30 a.m. Those will be Lewis and Cedar, second floors, and then Ponce East, third floor. One great question that we had at orientation earlier this week was, how do students know whether they are east or west for Ponce? If your room is an odd number, you're moving in on the east side. If your room is an even number, you are living on the west side. Then a second follow-up amazing question that I got at orientation this past week was, well, if I'm in the lobby floor of Ponce, is that on the first floor or the second floor? If I'm living on the first floor of Ponce, do I go upstairs or do I not go upstairs? And so I thought those were really great questions that we wanted to get a little bit of distinguishing things on. And so I kind of compare it if you've been to a European hotel, lobby is that first level. And so that's going to be 2 numbers on your room. And then first floor is our 100s that you'll actually go up a set of stairs for. Second floor is our 200s. Third floor is our 300s. Jumping back to our schedule, 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. will be Ponce East and West lobby floors. Ponce East second floor. So that's going to we're going to divide and conquer so that we can share some of those elevators in there for you all. And then 2 p.m. to 3:15 p.m., Ponce East and West first floor. Great question that we're getting here that I am going to answer kind of on the spot here is, athletes, if you are in fall sports, you are receiving separate information from our residence life team as well as your coaches and athletic staff. And so they will have a specific move-in day as long as they have been approved for that early move-in. But again, that date has been communicated, and you'll be working with our residence life team if there's going to be any time slots or anything like that. So again, this is very easy for me to say and read my notes, but your student had a beautiful little chart that was emailed to them, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And so they'll be able to see exactly what that breakdown was, maybe kind of screenshot it, toss it somewhere so that you have it. But I am going to go ahead and now pass this along to Ann Lynn so that you can take us through this concept of making your way to campus, how that's going to look, because I think that's where some of the anxiety is for the day, and then kind of what that flow will look like for everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tara. Making your way to campus is very exciting, and the team has been working really hard. And so, prior to move-in day here, within the next couple of weeks, you're going to receive an additional email that's actually going to have our traffic flow map. So you can take a look at it, get familiar with it, save it to your phones, everything that you need to feel prepared going into that day. That map is going to direct you to your first stop on move-in day, which is going to be parking for one stop. And that is going to be located at the First United Methodist Church. Don't worry, there's going to be lots of volunteers and signs out directing you to get to the right place on that day. From parking, it's going to be just a short walk to the Ringhaver Student Center, which is going to be where our one-stop shop is. At the one-stop shop, your student's going to get a parking pass that's going to be your dash pass for the day. When families exit, they're going to proceed right to their residence hall. And on the back of that dash pass, there's going to be a QR code. So make sure that you have your smartphone, you can scan that, and that's going to pull up your maps additionally to get you to the right place based on the building that you're moving into on that day. Again, we're going to have tons of volunteers out that day. The police department comes out to assist as well, and we're going to be pointing people in the right direction of where to go on that day. Just an important note too that we've had a couple of questions about, if you are bringing 2 vehicles or multiple vehicles, Your first vehicle can proceed directly to the route for your residence hall to move in your items. That second vehicle is actually going to follow the route to our parking garage. That second vehicle, if there's items in that second vehicle that need to be unloaded within your time period, what you'll do is a swap. So the first vehicle will follow the route to the residence hall. Our volunteers and you can help unload that vehicle. You can get back in that vehicle and then go to the parking garage and then swap out for that second car. So if you are bringing two vehicles, we don't ask that they follow both directly to the residence hall. That second vehicle can go and park in the parking garage. I'm going to pass it off to Rachel, who's going to share a little bit more about what to expect for your one-stop shop.
So we are getting a couple different questions just on some of these logistics and when and where people are going. I'm going to have you all kind of explain your different areas, and then we're going to maybe do more of a deeper dive into each one and kind of simplify it for everybody.
Sure. After students and families park their vehicles in the one-stop shop parking lot at the First United Methodist Church, they will make their way towards the Ringhaver Student Center, where students will proceed upstairs to our second floor to pick up their key. If they owe a balance or need to meet with financial aid, they will connect with them upstairs first. And then afterwards, or if they do not need to meet, they will enter what we call the Virginia room to get their room key, their welcome packet, take their ID photo and receive their ID if they haven't done so already, as well as handle parking. Families are able to stay downstairs on the first floor in the Family Leadership Lounge, which we are hosting in the recreation room. And after students get their items and families have had a chance to visit downstairs, they can together explore the one-stop shop. So we've got a number of offices who will be downstairs, student accounts, we've got the health services team, we've got, again, the Family Leadership Council, and just a couple of different offices where students and families can conduct their last final business before they proceed to their residence hall. Students and families can arrive to the Student Center 45 minutes prior to their move-in time to complete this process. And then they will make their way back to their vehicle to connect and start navigating towards their residence hall.
So let's kind of simplify what both Rachel and Lynn were just sharing. Families will be coming into the St. Augustine area. You may be coming from US 1, maybe you spent the night at the beach and you're coming over the Bridge of Lions or anything like that. We are sending out specific parking directions. I love one of our marketing and communications partners that has developed really specific Google Maps that have these routes dependent on the hall that you're going to. One thing though for everybody to know is that when you're coming into town, that one-stop shop is that first stop. And that's where we're directing everybody to that United Methodist Church lot, the Pumpkin Church. So if anybody has seen photos or knows of a really fun little local thing, is that they'll park there, walk over to the student center. That's the 45 minutes before their time slot that they've been assigned is when they can begin to come get their keys. If they already have their parking pass, they don't need to get their parking decal there if they already have their ID card, but we know that some may still like that. And then as Ann Lynn was saying, one of those cars will then be directed to the specific parking lot by that residence hall. And so for those that are moving into Sebastian, they'll have a parking lot over by Sebastian Hall. That second car is going to the parking garage. That first car is coming to the lot, the designated lot on that beautiful color-coded Google map. Unloading. Do we want to talk about what that is going to look like in the hall? And so a student has their key, they're ready to go, they're headed to the parking lot. How's that looking now?
It will look like lots of volunteers helping to carry belongings upstairs. There will be lots of staff and campus partners out there to help you navigate the traffic flow and all of that. But then we will have students and volunteers here on campus to help carry things upstairs and to the rooms all across campus. And then again, families will make their way out to the parking garage. We do ask that they unload within a 15-minute window because there will be so many people on top of that vehicle helping to get things upstairs into the rooms. So we do ask that families only stay in that parking lot for about 15 minutes to unload.
And we usually get that other question. If they had that second car, you can absolutely kind of swap it and bring the empty car back to the parking garage. That second car can come during that hour and a half to unload. Absolutely. We're getting some questions about that second car and if they can stay in the parking garage overnight. I'm going to say probably not because it's going to probably be full with our current students that have just moved in. And so if there is maybe city parking or somewhere else for that second car, I would recommend that. I don't want to speak for our parking office, but I do think that that would kind of be the best bet. One thing that we do get a lot of family members asking is you can leave your cars in the parking garage for the rest of the day, and then students and families are more than welcome to remain in the rooms and the halls for the rest of the day, set up the room, unpack, everything like that.
Tara, we also-
Elevators. We've got some questions on will there be elevators available to use during that time when they are unloading?
I'll take that one. Yeah, the elevators are definitely available for use. And in the worst case scenario that we have an elevator issue, we do have someone on staff to assist with that right away. With elevators, we do have stairs as well. If you do have a hand cart or anything like that that you would like to bring to assist you with moving items upstairs or through the elevator, I do recommend that. The elevators in Ponce are rather small, so we cannot really take on large carts. So your standard kind of cart that you rent from Home Depot or hand trolley, I like to call them, those work great in these situations, or even those the wagons that you take to the beach, they work great in these situations as well. The other thing I wanted to kind of just touch on as we were talking about vehicles with our parking situation and our lots, the way they are, unfortunately, we cannot accommodate U-Hauls or trailers being brought to campus. So, we do try to limit it to 2 cars if possible, and then doing that rotation.
So this might be one of my favorite questions that we've gotten on here. And so I would love your insight onto it. Would we be able to park in the garage and then walk our stuff out rather than the 15-minute parking? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I think if you're bringing carts and multiple people
Yes.
with you, I think that makes it easy. So you're not trying to deal with any of the transportation issues that might arise. But like we said, we have that map, we have the directions, and we also have the assistance from SAPD to try to kind of navigate that traffic flow and keep it going. So hopefully we have it planned out to a science at this point in time.
And we know that, like, whenever we say that 15 minutes, that causes a little bit of heartburn and everybody's a little bit nervous about what that means. I think it's a lot easier said than done. Like, it's a lot easier done than said, is really what I meant to say, is because we try to get as many volunteers to help. We try to encourage everybody to think about what you're bringing on that move-in day. But that is really so that we can respect everybody else that's trying to move in after the students. And so we're just trying to get everybody in there so that everybody has that time. Sebastian let's look at, Sebastian, FEC, ABEAR, will they have volunteers to help with move-in?
Yes, absolutely. Every residence hall will have a number of volunteers to help families and students carry their belongings up to their rooms.
And Dre, you touched on this with carts. Do you want to talk about carts just a little bit more? Will we have them? Should families bring them? What do you recommend?
So we had a cart experience last year. I will say we tried to supply carts. Here at Flagler, we're very limited with respect to our storage ability. So we don't have carts readily available. We have a very limited number of carts here on campus. So if you do have a hand cart that you can bring or any type of moving cart, I would recommend bringing it.
put your name on it because somebody else will see this a beautiful cart and think that they can use it. And we want to make sure that if you brought that cart with you, that it's coming back home with you. Can you talk about the mailroom and if somebody is sending things ahead of time, maybe not local or driving in, maybe they're flying in, what does that look like? Anybody can take this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know we sent out some communication earlier in the summer regarding mail. So you can send packages ahead of time to the institution. The mailroom will have them readily available for you. I think
August 12th is when we can begin accepting it. It's that
There we go.
10-day rule.
So, I mean, we're only like 2 weeks out, right, for
Yeah,
that date. So,
yeah.
if you want to, and if you can, send those ahead of time, you can absolutely do that. And then you're able to pick that up from, the mailroom, which is just, near our campus services building.
With the mail, I did speak with our director of mail services on Tuesday, and he said that students should be able to see their campus box number in My Flagler. And so that's the address that will be there. We want to make sure that that campus box number is clear on it, and that can work for care packages, notes that we're sending the students, even Amazon. Our students get deliveries with Amazon and stuff like that. So let's see. Pickup is, I was gonna say the questions are really coming in now, so we're trying to see how they're doing. Yes, the mailroom will be open on move-in day. Please don't quote me on this. They may be open that Saturday, but I don't want to make any promises just because so many students are coming in, but they'll be back open on Monday. Let's see. Is there any reason to arrive on campus before the assigned move-in time? I like this question too. Thank you for asking that one. I mean, I can answer it, but I've got you all here to help me out.
I don't think that there's any reason to arrive earlier than your move-in time. I think for best traffic flow and best time management to be able to get through quickly or as quickly as possible, it would be best if families arrived at their assigned move-in time, unless there's an extenuating circumstance.
And if they've requested, for example, I know one of our students is traveling internationally here and their flight is at a certain time and it's not during the time that they're going to be moving in. So they have already reached out to residencelife@flagler.edu to kind of work with that other time. But something that I've been pretty straightforward with sharing is that if your time slot is at 11 a.m. and you arrive at 9 a.m., we probably won't be able to give the student the key at that time. And so that's something to know because we're going to be working with that shift earlier. Unfortunately, I also don't think that our teams would be able to accommodate getting a student ID card before move-in day because we're trying to get that most up-to-date list into the system so that there's no issues and that it goes pretty quick for everybody. I mean, if people wanted to walk around campus the day before or the week before, you're absolutely welcome to. You wouldn't be able to see the room before move-in day. Again, we just like to be pretty transparent with everything on that. And then again, mailroom will be open on move-in day since that is a Friday. We just don't know if it's going to be open on that Saturday, the 23rd, but we can definitely check with mail services.
And I did share the link to our mail services department in our chat, so you can access that.
Okay. We've got a couple questions on after we've moved in, is there time to come back to the room? What does the rest of the day look like? What does maybe some of the week look like? So I know there's some agenda items for after move-in that you guys wanted to cover.
Yeah, absolutely. You are free to come and go from the room as you please. I know that a lot of folks have been asking questions about what stores are around the area to pick up last minute things, or maybe you take a look at the room and you decide you want to bring something into the space. There's lots of different stores. There's Walmart, there's Target, there's our friend Marshall's down the road. So feel free that if you aren't able to get everything into your car or you want to look at the space first, that's going to be a great idea to be able to go in, physically see the space, and then maybe make a list of some items you want to grab or put on that Amazon list for later on in the week to come in for your student to pick up. Um, in the evening, we will have our first hall meeting, and it's highly encouraged for all of our students to attend. That's going to take place in their residence hall. They're going to have flyers and communication from their RA about what that location is going to be, but they're all going to be at 7 o'clock. It's a really great way for your student to connect with other people on their floor, get to know one another, people living in their building, and ask questions about the RA. The RAs are students that have lived in the halls, that have lived the Flagler experience, and so they are a wealth of knowledge about the student experience and are going to share lots of ways to get connected in the upcoming weeks events. I know that our partners in our campus activities are planning lots of fun things that are going on, as well as an event that we are hosting. So right after the floor meeting, the RAs will be walking all of the students over to our Pancake and PJs event, and that is going to be held on the 3rd floor of Lewis House in the lobby area. And so we encourage everyone to come, mix and mingle, and it's going to be open for all of the students who have just moved in. So maybe they know a friend that's moving in, or they might be in another building. It's a great way to reconnect and just meet new people.
Wonderful. I think this is a great time to answer this question, since we didn't get to talk about it. When students come to their rooms and they want to bunk their beds to open up some floor space, or they want to raise it or lower it, or if the beds are bunked in there, how does that request work during move-in day?
Sure. Oh, Dr. Dre, you want to take it?
You got it.
All right. Students are able to submit a work request to have their beds bunked or raised higher or debunked. They would have to do that on move-in day, but they are able to do that through My Flagler. On the back of every door is a QR code that students can utilize to gain access to the work order request system. So they do need to get into the space, feel it out, take a look at what they might want to do, and then students are able to submit that request on move-in day. Our facilities team will be on campus and will be working to oversee and take care of and manage all of those work order requests. It might be that they can't get to you on Friday during move-in day, but they will get to you as quickly as possible because they will probably have several rooms that they need to get into and complete some projects and tasks for.
And I know that team is running all over campus on that day to try to help as many students and families as they can. A good question in regard to that pancake event. That is the big social event for that first night. We know it's been warm and maybe sometimes a little bit overwhelming, so we like it to just be a little bit more social for those students. But our dining hall really kicks off and begins on that Saturday morning for brunch. Our bistro in our student center on the first floor will be open on move-in day. They'll have Chick-fil-A going, they'll have Kookaburra coffee, and the rest of their convenience options. But the dining hall won't start until that Friday, or excuse me, till that Saturday morning. As a reminder, we are recording all of these, and so we will share them out to the YouTube channel as quickly as we can. But share contact information, best way to get a hold of the Residence Life teams with any of these questions, whether it's an early arrival, something has shifted, anything like that. Residence Life at
I was like, is that a question, Tara?
flagler.edu. How else can our families reach out to you all?
So the first email, because we do have a way to track emails and make sure that we're getting back to everyone, and it's residencelife@flagler.edu. Also, if you would like to call the office, we encourage you to use the main office line, which is 904. I gotta look over here.
826.
826 8502. So that's 904 826 8502. I have it written down over there, so.
As we're seeing a couple more questions come through, what are some other frequently asked questions that our families get, and how can they get some of the answers to those?
I think the biggest question that we've been getting mainly at orientation is what to bring and what should I leave home. I definitely recommend number one, not packing up your entire room from home and bringing it to campus. You're going to be sharing this space, and you may have your own room to yourself, and that's going to be an adjustment in itself. There is a website, and I think the easiest way to find it, and I will put it in the chat for you, is literally just to Google Flagler College, what to bring to campus. And that will provide you a list of items that you should probably bring, like your medications and clothes and study supplies and all of that jazz. And then there's also going to be a list of prohibited items that we can't have you bring to the residence hall for a particular reason. Usually a fire code reason or a safety reason associated with that, like open coil, hot plates, candles. Thank you, Rachel, for putting that in the chat. I appreciate it. Because we're going to want to reduce any health or risk hazard as much as possible. So please check that out. And if you do have any questions about particular items, please email residencelife@flagler.edu. Check that website out. Also, we have a handbook in our student handbook. We have a particular section dedicated to the Residence Life handbook, with all the rules and regulations associated with living on campus.
So just to kind of clarify, we've gotten a couple questions on this one that we're going to answer all together. Students will be given those time slots. We'll make sure to review those again before we get off this call. And then families can absolutely remain in the rooms with those students. We suggest get a good dinner all together. Take that time with your student, maybe walk off campus or drive off campus. Let them get a really good meal with you and take that time, get those last jitters out. And then students will have to be back for those 7 p.m. hall meetings. And that is students only. So our families are not able to attend those meetings, but that's for those students to be there. I like at that point when families depart and head home. I know that's a lot, and it's easy for me to say because I don't have a kid that's moving in right now. However, it allows for that student to begin connecting with Flagler, begin connecting with roommates or other people. And so we will start that welcome week schedule that Saturday. If students wanted to have their family members eat with them on campus, they could pay separately to bring them on in, but there are not a lot of family members. I think that's a really great time to, figure out how to do that first meal on your own, whether it's with your roommate, whether it's on your own in a quiet moment before, starting the day and things like that. I encourage you to really talk with your student about what it looks like to kind of start on their own. Maybe if you're renting a place locally for the week, you kind of give them 1 or 2 days to be on their own and just kind of do some check-ins, maybe do a Target or Walmart run a few days in when they've realized that they would love, some ramen noodles, or they forgot all those cleaning supplies that we know they're going to use pretty regularly. But just so that our families will have to depart from our halls before 7 p.m. on that day of move-in, and then work through everything like that. These are such good questions tonight. Will Flagler provide tissues for my mom?
Love it.
I do. I have been saying that we needed some branded tissues for the family members for move-in day, but we will make sure that they are in our family lounge. Love this. Cheeseburgers in paradise, but we are leaving a piece of our heart at Flagler. And please know that it's not just me, but all of us here on the call, all of us here at Flagler understand that that is your heart, and that we definitely know that it's your heart and that we want to help that heart flourish, and become new here. Loving this question as well. Let's talk about decorating the rooms.
Mhm.
So,
It's the
what
favorite thing, yeah.
yes.
Um, so
What
we
are some good tips and tricks to
So
use
we've
not to
actually been
use?
doing some research. So when I think it was early June, a parent tasked me with trying to identify the best putty to use to hang posters on the residence halls. As someone who reviews the damages that the wear and tear that a room can take on after a student has left it. I think you want to be conservative with respect to like what you're putting on walls. You want to be smart with respect to the type of tape or adhesive that you're using to hang that item up. Think about the weight of the item that you're hanging up. Tapestries are going to be very difficult to hang, or large posters. The kind of like we kind of polled other institutions as well to try to figure out like what's going to be the best putty out there. Right now, the word on the street is the Gorilla Glue Museum Putty that should leave your walls intact if you remove it. I cannot wholeheartedly endorse this at this point in time, just because I haven't used it myself. And specifically in Ponce West, what I've noticed is anytime we have a freshly painted building, like we're talking, there's one coat of paint on that wall. So we want to be very careful with respect to what we're putting on that wall. Try to shy away from drilling large holes into walls using nails,
No, we're not going to be drilling.
thumbtacks,
Leave the drills at home.
we should really try to refrain from doing those things. Right now, I'm going to continue doing research, but right now it sounds like this Gorilla Glue Museum Putty is the way to go. Fingers
Inlin,
crossed.
would you mind talking a little bit about connecting with a roommate? Maybe what are some things that they could be talking about during this time? And then when they get to campus, and let's just say that that first couple days, or maybe now, they're already thinking, I'd like to make a switch.
Yeah, absolutely. So we understand that it could be a difficult time to move in, especially like Dr. Dre was saying. You might have a room by yourself and now you're faced with meeting someone new, or maybe you're coming in with someone that you met at orientation. Regardless of what that's like, we want to make sure that you're communicating with them before you get to campus. So sending them a text message if you have a phone number, or you can get their Flagler email and just send them an introduction. I would highly encourage you to reach out to your roommate and maybe schedule a time to talk on the phone or do a FaceTime just to connect with one another. Share things that you're interested in, share things that you're hoping to get out of your college experience, maybe some clubs or organizations that you've already looked up about Flagler and things that you want to get involved in, and try to make that connection. We also have RAs here that are there to help make that connection and help set and talk about expectations, right? There are two very different people or multiple people coming into a space, and you might have different expectations for how clean you want the space or how you want the space to be organized. And so those are some great basic conversations that you can start having now, but our RAs are going to be able to help navigate those conversations. We utilize a tool called a roommate agreement. And so the RAs will sit down with each room on their floor and talk with their residents, and they'll kind of go through a worksheet of guided questions. Do you like to sleep in? Do you like to have the lights on? How do you like to study? And some of those questions to really get your students starting to think about what they would like to see in their room and kind of where they can find compromise. Compromise is going to be that keyword, right? There's always going to be a little bit of give and take when you're living with people. So talking about flexibility and what things that are really important that you hold as a value that you have that maybe you can give a little bit on, and some areas that you can be a little bit flexible with your roommate. We do understand that sometimes roommate matches just might not be the right fit. And so we do ask that when you come to campus, we try to give it that adjustment period. But once the semester starts, we will open it up and have an opportunity once they talk with RA and try to navigate any sort of difficulties that may or may not be happening in the space. We could open it up to potentially do a room change. And so we will look at that as a case by case basis and make those accommodations where we can to help support that, because we truly do want you and your students to have the best experience here. And we know that sometimes that happens. And so our goal is to try to get you to the right place for that.
Absolutely. We definitely want students to try to work through some things on their own and, not just make a change right away. Students can find their roommates in their eResLife portal. And then once they have that full name, they can search for them in the email directory. I don't think we're comfortable giving out phone numbers for students. The email is going to be definitely the best first way to get a hold of them. Let's go over those move-in time slots again. Rachel, do you want to go ahead and run through those for everybody?
Sure, once I get it pulled back up here, give me just a second. Okay, so 8 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. are the third floors of Lewis, Cedar, and Ponce West. And again, the west side is everything with an even number, as well as FEC, Aber, and Sebastian, all floors. From 9:30 to 10:45 is the second floor of Lewis and Cedar Halls, as well as Ponce East, third floor. From 11 to 12:15 is the first floors of Lewis and Cedar, and Ponce West, second floor. And from 12:30 to 1:45 are the lobby floors of both Ponce East and West, as well as Ponce East, second floor. And then lastly, from 2 to 3:15 is Ponce East and West, first floor. That is emailed to your student in their Flagler email. It was sent about July 18th. So it's a nice, pretty chart. So encourage your student to go on and check their Flagler emails if they haven't seen this yet. But it does give a nice breakdown in a really easy to read chart.
And as a reminder, we're recording this so that we'll be able to hopefully send it out through the family portal or the Flagler College YouTube channel if anybody does want to review this. Dre, we do have a couple students that are living in Sebastian or are living down by the parking garage. And they would just like to know, like, what's that commute like? Could you talk a little bit about getting to and from those two places to maybe the, academic buildings that are down this way, on move-in day or off move day?
I'm
move-in day.
muted, sorry. Yeah, so a lot of people are, they often get a little worried. They feel like, oh, I'm living really far from campus by living in Sebastian. I mean, it is true you're a little bit further away from, Ponce and Lewis and Cedar, right here in the heart of campus. But we're honestly talking less than a half a mile. I would say it's probably 0.3 from like the heart of campus, from the library. I would say a good 15-minute walk.
Mhm.
We do have a lot of students who bring bicycles to campus, scooters to campus as well. If you could bring a non-electric one, I would really love you for that. And if you do bring a scooter or a bicycle to campus, you can register those with our campus security office. Right now, they are actually even giving out bike locks for free if you do register them with you. So I highly recommend that you do that. In the event that something happens and that would be stolen for some particular reason. The other thing, I will mention is, with respect to weather, I mean, it can get hot. We all have our kind of what we can withstand in terms of like, how hot it is outside. So, light clothing. I know during orientation, we talked with the parents on whether or not we are a rain jacket kind of person or an umbrella person. Mary Tinlin, she just recommended students pack a garbage bag in that backpack and slide it on if you need to, in the event of weather issues. But grabbing a great umbrella, just in the event that like we're looking at whether we have that. The other thing is like living in Sebastian, FEC or A-Bear, we have a shuttle that is it's doing loops around campus constantly. That schedule is published, I think on our website as well as throughout campus with respect to like when it should be at various places. And that's all, again, very kind of dependent on traffic and if there's a hang up for a particular reason. The other thing is if you need transportation outside of the shuttle times, you can easily contact our security team and they will come and pick you up and drop you off at the location that you need to be to travel to, basically. So we have you covered with respect to that. Don't be discouraged by the walk. If you were to visit any other campus, University of Florida, or maybe Stetson even, those campuses are quite larger than Flagler College. So it is not a far walk, even though, when it's 90 degrees out, it definitely feels like it.
Okay, so we just have a couple other questions in here as we're wrapping up. Again, if students are having a hard time getting a hold of their roommate or they just have questions about living on campus in general, they can reach out to residencelife@flagler.edu and you'd be able to kind of work with them to see. I know at a previous orientation session, a student was just having a really hard time getting a hold of their roommate. So kind of working through some different ways to creatively try to find out who they were. They were also just nervous that maybe they didn't have a roommate and we were able to see who they were. In the event of a hurricane, this is very timely because there was a few of us that talked about it just this morning. And so if a hurricane or inclement weather were to happen on move-in day, what does that look like?
That's not going to happen, right?
No,
We're not going to
no.
say
But we are
Beetlejuice.
all going to be the trash bags like Mary Tinlin suggested and rock them.
In the event that a hurricane is going to happen on move-in, we will have communication out to all parents and families, letting them know that we are diverting and we will have a different plan of action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be the case if there's a hurricane during the school year. We're going to be really big on communication and getting that out. I would like to share that once we get those recordings from our webinar with our Director of Safety and Security, Bill Bird. We did go over some hurricane specific things for that.
Every single student who's living on campus, this was a part of your application when you applied to live within the residence halls. You filled out an emergency response plan. And we built in a lot of questions of, in the event of a hurricane and in the event that we needed to evacuate, like where were you going to evacuate to? Who is your emergency contact? So on and so forth. So I do recommend that you look at that section of the application, review that with your parents, and see if that's still a viable plan for you. It also all depends on like where the hurricane is coming from. If your plan is to go back home to the Tampa area, and maybe the hurricane is coming from Tampa, that plan you're going to have to adjust in the moment with respect to that. So having the conversations with your family members with respect to where you're going to go and what you're going to do would be great. A lot of students partner up with friends and roommates to get a hotel together, or they will go to a friend or roommate's house because they're unable to fly back to Maine or to New Jersey, once we get notification that we are likely to evacuate. Worst case scenario, if a student doesn't know or have a place of where they're going to go, and the campus we are under a required evacuation by the state. We will all have to evacuate to a shelter in the area. We're currently working with our community to see if, it's possible for us to get our own room. That's a dream right now, I will say that. But it's not like a traditional, shelter. You think about it like we are all going there because we are being forced out of our homes, our living accommodations. This is a school likely that is being converted to a shelter because they're not in an evacuation zone. And you have staff there, likely from the Red Cross, and also security and police officers there to provide some safety. Again, that's last resort. We really encourage you to look at that evacuation plan, talk with friends, roommates, family members to see, where can I go in the event I have to leave my dorm room? If you have an emotional support animal or a service animal, you need to make preparations and plans for them as well. And we also look at, if we do have to go to a shelter, is that an animal friendly shelter, and can you bring your animal there? And you're going to want to, a part of that application and that process was, remembering things like your medication and your electronics, books or whatever, so that you have those items with you, and also to support your animal if you do have an animal as well. We also get a lot of questions about what's going to happen with class. The academic side of the house, we're student affairs side of the house, the academic side of the house, they're going to be willing to work with you in the event of, we're under a storm, and we are not going to have class for that session. So I hope that helps a little bit. And we will be communicating, and there will be, there are websites. We have always websites and information out there where, in the event that a storm is coming our way and we need to make preparations for that.
Yeah. So a couple other questions that just came through. On move-in day, there won't be any parent or family orientation, but our Family Leadership Council will be hosting that family lounge in the student center. If any student wasn't able to attend orientation, it's not a requirement to come to it. They'll be able to go through a lot of the different information, either one-on-one with those different offices throughout the rest of the summer, or when they move in, and connect through welcome week. I am going to kind of start to wrap us up here as we get to the top of the hour, but Family and Friends Weekend is the end of September. And so that information is beginning to go out for our students and our families. It's purposely scheduled around 6 weeks after move-in. And so that's kind of my golden timeline, is give us 6 weeks with your student to get them connected to the institution, have them figure out what their new norm looks like, and then come back to campus if your schedule and finances permit, and have them show you from their own viewpoint. It's a great time. We get a lot of families that come in. I know they're working on the schedule now, which they will post and share out. But I think it's a great chance for the students to kind of become the tour guides for the families and show you what their world is like. And whether you participate in any of the athletic events or the social events, community events that are a part of it, it's a nice chance to kind of reconnect. So couple other closing things. Tomorrow, August 1st, is when our bills are due for the institution. And so we did want to just get a couple of those dates out for you. As Dr. Dre went through, this time right now throughout the month of August is really great. Just hurricane prep discussions, talking about what your plans will be and what that looks like and how you're going to feel comfortable, especially if you're not used to experiencing hurricanes for our out of town folks. We will also move-in day, August 22nd. We're going to keep talking about that date. And that's again where students will pick up their keys, move in, they'll get their ID card if they haven't gotten that yet, and they can purchase their parking pass. There is no deadline on when to purchase the parking pass, so you could come and purchase it that day, or you could purchase it at some other time. We encourage you to purchase it before you start parking your car on campus, though. Because I think that's a pretty good reminder. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We went through 41 questions in 54 minutes. I thought that was pretty good. Couple other gentle reminders. Next week, August 6th at 6, we will be chatting with President Delaney. And so you'll get to kind of hear from him. That's always a really fun discussion for our students and families. And then we just confirmed this morning we are adding another one on Thursday, August 14th. And this will be all about just our students coming from out of state and what does that look like. Our admissions team and a couple of our community partners recommended that one just to kind of alleviate any nerves for a lot of our out-of-state students since they're coming so far away. One last time, contact information for reaching our Residence Life team or any other questions about move-in day.
Rachel, you go.
residencelife@flagler.edu, and the phone number is 904-826-8502.
Wonderful. And then we will work with our marketing and communications teams to get this recording uploaded to the Flagler College YouTube channel. We have a playlist for all the summer recordings, and we're working as hard as we can. We know that this is a crazy time for everybody, but we know that this information is important to you all. So again, a big thank you to you all. A big thank you for our presenters here for taking the time tonight. And we look forward to seeing everybody in 23 days. So,
Oh my
all
goodness.
right. Thank you so much, everybody.